Good evening. Welcome back to the Glazov Gang, our second segment of this episode. Our guests this evening and our gang members this evening are Professor Bruce Thornton, author of The Wages of Appeasement, Nonie Darwish, the author of the new book, The Devil We Don't Know, and Robert Spencer, author of a book that's coming out soon, Did Muhammad Exist? Glazov Gang members, welcome back to the Glazov Gang.
Thank you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most excited, how excited so far are you to become gang members of the Glazov Gang, Bruce?
15.
15? You're excited? Robert, you said you couldn't sleep last night.
I couldn't at all. No, not since the last episode. I haven't slept a wink.
Right. Okay, and Nonie, you're excited as well?
I'm totally excited. I love it.
Okay.
Hey,
I still want the colors.
You're getting so fantastic with your show.
Keep the compliments coming, please. And maybe I'll be on Fox News eventually. Right? Maybe we'll make this whole segment about me, or we'll move on.
I don't know if Prince Al-Walid would like that, really, if he were on Fox.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trayvon Martin, tragic case, a young African-American boy, I think he was 17 years old, was recently killed by a shooting by an individual, last name is Zimmerman. We don't know so much about this case, a lot we don't know, and our condolences go out to his parent, Trayvon's parents. Tragic case, obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with Trayvon Martin as well. However, something interesting emerged out of all this. The media, I mean, the first day or two, I thought that this was some kind of Ku Klux Klan execution. There's a picture of somebody that looks like they're 6, and then this mugshot. Then after a while, you start realizing that, you know, he's 17. Some of the pictures have him with his shirt off and
6'2".
And grills in his teeth, if I'm not mistaken, and he's doing gang signs. I'm not saying this justifies anything or that Zimmerman's right. What I'm saying is it's interesting what pictures even the media was using and what narrative they were telling. Now Sharpton's in on this, and Jackson, they're making this some kind of racial thing. The New Black Panthers have put a bounty out on Zimmerman. What is happening here, and what do you think about the narrative that the media was trying to build? I mean, they're even calling Zimmerman a white Hispanic.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly does that even mean? Your thoughts about this whole case, Bruce?
Well, it's another example of what we've seen before, the Duke Lacrosse case. This is exactly the same pattern that we saw there. And what we are watching is the civil rights industry in action. We used to have a civil rights movement, a noble civil rights movement. It evolved after the 60s into the civil rights industry, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party, the public employee unions. And their power comes from exploiting these sorts of tragedies. And remember, power is making somebody do something. Like the way that law firm went back on their invitation to Robert. That showed CARE's power. And what they're doing now with this behavior is they're showing their ability to make something happen. Make this act, which was at first deemed to be within the law, and we can argue that the law is not a good one, the stand your ground law in Florida, but was deemed. And I predict there will be an indictment of this guy.
Now, Bruce, if there isn't an indictment, what do we see here? Because you can feel a boiling, simmering
that's
pot
the
here.
other part of it.
Do we look something like a Rodney King case, or even worse, that there could be riots? I mean,
well, that's what they wanted. That's the threat they made.
Yeah.
That's always the threat. Whether spoken or unspoken, and in this is, again, similar to the jihadis, always the threat is there will be violence if we don't get what we want.
Nonie, I'll lead in with a question. You have your own thoughts on this, but something that I was thinking about. The New Black Panther Party has put a bounty on Zimmerman's head.
Yeah.
Now, just a second here. If I did that, if I just made an announcement and let's say put a bounty on Bruce's head, like just hypothetically, okay, I would be arrested.
Exactly.
I would be charged. What if the Ku Klux Klan put a bounty on Sharpton's head?
Yes.
Where is Eric Holder? Why hasn't somebody been charged? What's happening here?
I think this has gone way out of proportion, and the media is feeding it, and they're giving them voices. This put a bounty in America on the head of somebody before the legal system takes its course. I find that appalling and scary, but I am really, I think there has to be a further investigation, because a neighborhood watch should never be allowed to carry guns.
Right. And why is
if
he even
the-
following this?
Yeah,
young boy?
and
The
then
911 people, 911 people said don't follow him.
I think the guy should be investigated,
Right.
maybe for maybe be trigger happy a little bit. He's impersonating a policeman or something.
We just don't know,
But
right?
we don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But let the legal system take its course. I am totally against neighborhood watch carrying a gun. If this was a policeman who shot a kid, that policeman will be put out of his job for investigation.
Yeah.
And I think there is a good cause to question the decision of leaving him without just further
Absolutely,
investigating
but
it.
the media painted this
but
as something
the
racial,
other
and-
side completely took off and in a way that is making me even not very sympathetic, because they are starting to do it in a very criminal fashion,
Yeah.
and very scary. If we have this kind of vigilante kind of justice in America to allow something like that, because I come from the Middle East where vigilante justice is really the way to do things, and it's very scary.
And Robert Spencer has been patiently waiting to share his wisdom with us on this. Robert?
I don't know this Zimmerman. I don't know this. I don't know the facts of the case. He may have killed this young man unjustly, in which case he should be prosecuted, certainly. At the same time, Nonie is absolutely right. This is mob justice that's coming to America. There's an atmosphere of lynching in the air. Spike Lee tweets the guy's address, which is a clear threat, a clear indication that he wanted him to come to physical harm. That is Zimmerman's address.
And it was the wrong address, by the way.
Well, that's true that it was the wrong address.
I
But
think he
didn't
finally
intentionally.
apologized.
He didn't apologize for putting out the guy's address. He apologized for putting out the wrong one
Right.
and
Right.
getting these other people
Right.
harassed.
Yeah.
But the he doesn't repent of having tried to put the guy's address out. And I also thought it was very interesting that CARE has been all over this issue and has been sending out all kinds of alerts about it, even though Trayvon Martin is not a Muslim. And you would wonder, why is a group that is a Muslim advocacy group in the United States, even if they are what they say they are, what do they have to do with this issue? And obviously they are trying to co-opt race politics and to play on the national trauma that is racism for the United States to gain another wedge to keep us from being able to resist the jihad effectively.
Very interesting. Now let me go to this for a minute, just to reiterate or get some more thoughts from you. It's incredible the way that the left molds our boundary of discourse, where certain words and images are actually even unacceptable. For instance, I've been renting quite a few movies in the last year, and I'll tell you, almost every movie in Hollywood is attacking Christians, is attacking Catholics, is attacking Jews, is attacking law enforcement, established institutions, etc. And I always think, imagine if the script was flipped. Like, just imagine one movie, instead of poking fun at Catholic priests, they do it about Muslims.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's just unimaginable that would happen. That's how brainwashed we've become, that we cannot even poke fun at and I would even say, let's say even at the Islamic religion, not necessarily even Muslims. But let's use even this Trayvon Martin case. Imagine if in the beginning, the picture that came out in the media was of Trayvon Martin without his shirt on doing those gang signs, which the pictures exist, and of Zimmerman with a suit on.
Right.
That would never happen today, and we never question it. What do you think of that? Bruce, we
do question it. I mean,
we question it.
Yeah, but
it's
thank
happening.
God for the internet, because the mainstream media now is not the only game in town, and I don't think that they have the credibility they have anymore. I think there's plenty of people out there that see through this because they have access to Front Page and other sites that they can get this counter argument. Where imagine when there's only 3 network news and about 6 major papers and columnists, as when I was growing up. There would be no way to do that. So I think that there is the ability to counteract that. And I think that they are increasingly looking more and more exposed in terms of their partisanship.
Okay. Nonie?
I think the reason CARE is supporting the black side of the issue, I think they are appealing because they most of the people who convert to Islam in America are black Americans, and they are appeasing the black population. They are fishing for they're pushing the envelope, because the way Muslims do things when there is a crisis is always through vigilantism, and that's what they are encouraging. They love to riot. This is a very Islamic way of doing business,
Right.
not just the leftists who are trying to stir this issue against Zimmerman. But I think CARE finds some connection, because this is how Muslims like to solve problems, is by doing a lot of them want to do vigilantism, stirring up, revolting. This is the modus operandi. They like to do things, and this is the future of what's going to happen if we allow CARE to grow and grow.
And the latest thing with Robert is we are allowing it.
We
Robert,
are allowing it.
some final thoughts?
This is what's going to happen by Muslims in the future in America, which they don't like something. There's going to be riots.
Okay.
And this is the wave of the future if we don't end it right now.
Okay, Robert, before we end this segment,
Well,
final
we noted
thoughts on
that,
Trayvon Martin and CARE, however you want to...
The Muslim Brotherhood is dedicated in its own words to eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within. Obviously, these things play right into that if they can sow civil strife, if they can play up racial conflict in America and bring about a situation in which there are riots and vigilante justice, mob justice, lynchings, and so on, this is exactly in accord with their overall agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, very briefly from each of you, I know that each of you have prophetic abilities and are clairvoyant, each of you in your own way. In terms of this Trayvon Martin tragic story and saga narrative, how is it going to play out? What will end up happening? Bruce?
I would imagine that the special prosecutor very likely will indict. There will, after a while, be a trial. I would imagine he would probably get acquitted by a jury once they look at the law and the way the law is written,
and
the testimony. And by that time, depending on how much time goes on, I'm not sure that the agitators can keep up the
so
media
maybe not
interest.
riots like after Rodney King?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, Nonie?
I don't think it's going to be at the level of Rodney King, because Rodney King was the police, and
Yes,
there is there's always this tension between liberals and the police.
Okay.
But this is just an individual who might have just overdone it, and hopefully it will not end up in huge riots.
Robert Spencer, your psychic powers, what do they tell you? How will this play out?
Well, I know one thing. This poor guy, if he didn't do this, if he was just acting in self-defense, if Trayvon Martin was attacking him, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Because Zimmerman's as good as dead. He should leave the country. He's never going to have any peace for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Third segment, tomorrow evening, we will be discussing the Republican presidential contest with our three wise men and women. Join us tomorrow evening. Good night.